It's very shocking.
Yeah. And my concern is, in a minute you will see mics all over me.
Right.
So
Why is it they always come out when it's white children?
no, that's another question. That's another question. You know, two things that came out of the march very loudly and clearly, that these people are standing for freedom of speech, and they are standing to protect their children against abuse. Against abuse, amazingly. And little do they know that most Muslims in this country, in fact, I would say,
standing in their group, they
yeah,
don't know.
yes, the majority, you see what they were talking about is child grooming. You know, grooming gangs, they were talking about some grooming gangs up north, right? In Huddersfield, places like Rochdale, there were cases there, and appalling cases of child abuse. And we believe that these people should be given the harshest of punishments, whether they are Muslim, white, black, green, blue, whatever they are, they must be given harshest of punishments. I'm speaking as a Muslim. On the other hand, these same people, when you ask them this question, those who are chanting that we want to protect our children against grooming gangs. Why? Because they are Asian and Pakistani. The reason why they're so grieved and so angry is because these grooming gangs are Pakistani. And you know what? I am with them. That these people, these scumbags who abuse children, they should be given the harshest of punishments. However, having said that, the question is, who are the majority of pedophiles in this country? Are they Pakistanis? Are they Japanese? Indians? They are white people. There are cases where white people specifically travel to Far East to have sex with young girls. In some cases, boys. They're going to Vietnam, they're going to Cambodia, they're going to India to have sex with children. Okay? We do not see any marches against them. We do not see Tommy Robinson talking about them. Yeah.
I saw a video. There's a white couple. They saw an Asian couple fly tipping. They went mad. Did you see that? Yeah, they went mad. Yeah. When they saw white people coming to that same spot doing it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
The crime gets. Apparently, it's a crime. So
magnified.
Brown people do it.
Yeah.
When it's white people do it, even if they chuck litter on the
Our
floor,
ant,
it's okay.
our ant looks like an elephant, and the elephant looks like an ant. Okay. So it's demagnifying or it's magnifying, right? So when a Muslim, for example, with someone of some scumbag with a Muslim name, who happened to be born in a Muslim family, who has nothing to do with Islam, how can you be a Muslim and do that to children? That's impossible, right? If you are an observant Muslim, if you care about Islam, you can never be even, you can't be cruel to an animal. You can't even be cruel to an animal, right? What about a human? So the point I'm making is that when white people are doing this, Jimmy Savile, other white grooming gangs, you know, sex trafficking happening in Europe, who's doing it? Who's doing it? Pakistanis are doing it. Who are bringing girls from Eastern European countries to be sold as sex slaves in Britain, in Germany, in France, in the streets of Italy? Who's bringing girls from Lithuania, places like Romania? Who's bringing them in? Pakistanis? Is it Pakistanis? So where is the outrage? The question is, outrage has to be proportionate. It has to be fair. It has to be truly represented. We are with the British people. We are British in their pain when they talk about the suffering of children who have been groomed by some Asian gangs. And we are saying that they should be given the worst of punishments. Do not let them out. Lock them up, throw away the key. But why do we not talk about white grooming gangs? Why do we not talk about white pedophiles throughout Europe? Child porn is a business because it is happening in Europe. Where do the videos come from? Very, very few come from the rest of the world. Very few. You'll find very few from India. Very few from South America. Majority of the child pornography we see, according to researchers, is coming from Europe. Europeans are doing it. So it is hypocrisy to accuse 50 Asian men or 100 Asian men and accuse the entire population of the same crime, and ignoring the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is being ignored. So this is unfair.
They
So
said it. They want to drive us out.
Yes.
They want to drive us out of our homes.
yeah.
They want to take our
So accuse them.
That's what they want to do.
And you know what? This is not new. Let me explain something to you. This is not a. You know, no.
They want to play the video.
Let me explain something to you. This is not a new tactic.
We want to terrorize them. We want to drive
This
them out.
strategy of dehumanizing a minority of people you don't like
Whatever, I can't remember.
is not new. Did you hear this rhetoric on the news when the immigrants were coming in? That immigrants who have come into Europe are groping white young maidens. Do you remember that? Who remembers that? Right? Immigrants are coming in into Germany. They have been given a home. Say it, say it.
Yeah, it's
say it.
all on the news.
They have been given a home. Some of them were being accused of what? Doing what? They are touching up white women and they are trying to rape them. You know what? Amazingly, those who study history, this same accusation was used against the black people in America to destroy them, to suppress them, to oppress them, to prison them. What was the accusation? If you don't like a black man, after emancipation, I'm talking about after the Emancipation Proclamation, in 1863, Abraham Lincoln, he declared that the black people are free in America. So join the Civil War. So black people in the thousands joined the Civil War, and in 1865, the war was over. So the black people thought, now begins our good days. Now starts our paradise. We were enslaved, but little did they know that was the beginning of the hell. That was the beginning. Because previously, when they were slaves, masters, as cruel as they were, they took care of their slaves. They made sure the slaves have enough food so that they are able to work in the fields. But after they were freed, emancipated, laws were imposed on them. Their humanity was taken away from them. In fact, when a black man committed a minor crime, he was put in prison, and then other crimes were put on him, and his imprisonment was extended by law. And if you don't believe me, there's a book published by Cambridge University Press, and the book title is The Altar of Lynching. It is titled The Altar of Lynching. This gentleman in this book, he talks about how the law completely destroyed the black people after the Emancipation Proclamation, after they had been freed from slavery, right? And how were they being dehumanized? One of the ways used to dehumanize was that they are beastly, they are sexual, they are lustful, and they lust after white maidens. They want to rape our white girls. This is one of the ways used to demonize or dehumanize the black people, so that there is no sympathy in the hearts of white people for these people, these black people. So when a black man was being lynched, instead of people crying for him, pleading on his behalf, people were selling popcorns. People were selling popcorns. This happened in our history, in human history. Less than 100 years ago, it was happening in the American South. When black men would be hanging from trees, there would be people selling hot dogs. It would be a spectacle. There would be thousands of people watching the lynching of this man, most likely to be innocent. Very soon. Most likely to be innocent. And one of the ways, or one of the accusations that came forward very often was, oh, he raped a white woman. And as the record shows, many of these accusations were actually false. Same thing is happening today. This grooming gang business, this grooming gang rhetoric is the same smoke screen. The people who are instigating this propaganda are well aware of Muslims in this country. They know the overwhelming majority of Muslims are against this. There are some scumbags with Muslim names who have done this. They are being magnified and they are being made to look like the representatives of our communities. On the other hand, the elephant, as I talked about in the room, is not looked at. Majority of the pedophiles in this country statistically are white people. They come from the white background. I don't know about the world, because I'm sure it's happening in China, it's happening in India. Yeah, I wouldn't say in the world. We have to be fair in our criticism. We have to do justice. But in this country, now one may argue that's true, but proportionally, Asian people are bigger culprits because their population is less and they are more involved in this. Even that's a lie. Even that's a lie. Go and check statistics and you will see. So the point is, this rape of the white maiden by the savage blackie or the savage Asian is not something new. It was used throughout, even during the Indian mutiny in India, when the British were trying to control India with an iron fist, and the natives rose in mutiny against the British Empire, right? And when some of these mutineers or rebels were fighting their masters, the English or the British Raj, the government, one of the accusations against the rebels was they are coming into English homes and they are raping white maidens. And to get the public opinion on their side to commit atrocities on a grand scale, on an industrial scale against the mutineers, they were publishing these news reports, fake reports, false reports in Britain, in London, to get the public opinion on the side of those who were massacring the population in India. In this case, the British Raj, the officers of the East India Company. How was the opinion turned? Even Queen Victoria had to write to the generals in India to stop this massacre, stop this murder of the native Indians. Enough is enough, because she heard about certain massacres. And how was it justified? That these Indians, these savages, are raping our women. Therefore their blood is halal. Their blood is fair game. And if you don't believe me, there's a recent book, I like to give references so that you don't think I'm making up things. There's a history of one family, one Scottish family in India that governed for a long time, and the book is titled The Tears of the Rajas. The Tears of the Rajas is a chunky volume. This man, he is writing a history of his own ancestors who were serving under the East India Company. And in this book he documents the atrocities of his own great-grandfather. And he himself is a very humane, or a human person, of course, who condemned the atrocities committed by his own great-grandfather. So the picture is much larger than we may think. You think this rhetoric of hate, this xenophobia, this dehumanization of the other is something new. It has happened many times before. History is repeating itself today. Thank you so much for listening to my speech, and I am now done with it.